we go.
Hey, everybody.
Guys.
How we doing?
But yeah, okay. So we talked a little bit last week about some of the things that we could start out, how to have a good start out, I guess, off the starting line in Facebook, some of the apps and programs that we use, and some things we've learned. We were going to go into this podcast, I think, talking a little bit about some dealing with issues that arise during the stream, which we're going to kind of cover.
Yeah.
But we're going to be talking a little bit more about the volatility of Facebook and what to expect kind of moving into this program. But yeah, so as we've seen in the last week, I don't know, you've probably seen it from other streamers, friends and stuff like that. And you've seen a drop, a trending downward views, CCV. I know you've probably seen it on my page pretty heavily. So you've seen the volatility of it, right? I was sitting at a CCV of 250, averaging, 220, 230 was my average CCV, right? Mm-hmm. And then I did my stream with Senpai, who's a Facebook partner, and we were playing the same game, same time. We're in the same bubble, right? We have a very similar community, just like me and Panda do. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, that whole stream, I sat at like 30 to 40 people, right? Now, I've been saying for a while that these views that I'm getting are kind of, they're not fake views, but they're Facebook filtering people in through. So like when you're scrolling through on your Facebook, your main app, and you're scrolling down, you see a streamer on there, and it says a suggested post from you. And it auto plays, right? It auto plays. It's because you have the autoplay function on. Well, guess what? That counts as a one viewer, right? So it updates on my page, and it says that one person is watching my page from that CCV, right? And it probably takes a minute or two before it actually disappears because Facebook's got to register that they didn't stay and that they didn't hang out there and all this other stuff. So that's probably what you're seeing to an extent. That's a good thing though, because that brings in new people, right?
Right.
So like Panda, I mean, what's your average recommendation rate on Facebook that you see? Or if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I would say for me, anywhere between 8 and 10%, with like a high of like 14 to 15% right now.
So mine sits at about 60%. Okay,
which is crazy.
So me and Panda kind of talked this over yesterday, and a lot of streamers, you guys are going to see that a lot of streamers, when they enter into this like 3 to 4 month range, so at the very beginning it seems like Facebook really sits there and they go, okay, is this person going to stay around and hang out with us? Right? Is this person going to be a part of our community, our Facebook community streaming group, right? So once you've been around for like 3 to 4 months, Facebook's like, all right, cool, check mark. That individual is good to go. So let's go ahead and push them out a little bit more, right? They do initial boost at the very beginning of your streaming for a month or so, because they're going to want to kind of test you out at the very beginning. But then once you're sticking around, then they'll start pushing you out. And that's when you'll start seeing like a rise in viewers, everything like that within that 3 to 4 month range. And then when you hit that like half a year mark, it seems like to cycle through a year. At that half a year mark, it starts. If you're doing well, your community's doing well, then it pushes you out and it boosts you up, and it makes you fly off the hinges. You might get featured, whatever it is. But this is kind of how Facebook seems to work. From everything that I've looked at on other people's pages, all of that stuff, it definitely it's affected by that. Facebook is a one. I say Facebook is it really likes people that play one single game, right?
It really does.
Because it knows where to push you out from there. Its algorithm isn't really built to play multiple different games, unless you already have an established community, and then you can kind of do that. But even if you see watch Stone Mountain stream Among Us, his views go way, way down. Or watch Darkness 429 when he streams Cyberpunk, right? At first he was really high, but then his views, sit down at like in the 800, sometimes 600 range. So is what we're seeing is Facebook doesn't really know how to push that out exactly, and maybe may not be a big interest for that. So playing that game that you're known for is really important. But I also suggest to you guys streaming an extra game in there every once in a while, so you don't just build your entire group off of that. So Just my perspective on that.
And to piggyback that point there, what you said about the one game thing, and like if I go back and redo what I did when I started, I would start with one game, build my community, and then start moving to variety. Whereas I started as a variety streamer, and like I feel like now we've built the community up, but like to go back, like Connor in my chat was saying, like that's really high, the 60% recommendation. There's also like, you got to look at like, there's two sides to each coin with both of these. Like my percentage is really low, which means the viewers that I get are mostly my followers. So I know those, 15 to 20 or 20 to 25 people or whatever are going to come in. I could play Galaga and people would come in and watch me. You know what I mean? People have been watching me play Final Fantasy VI the last few days. On the flip side of that, when I go and look at that, and it's every single one of my streams, no matter what I do for reactions, comments, shares, 1 minute views, and I'm getting recommended, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10% of the time. It means Facebook's not pushing me, which means I gotta figure that out somehow. And on the flip side of that, with Bytes, when I don't want to say when Facebook course corrects for him, but when his recommendation percentage starts going back down again, like what if you watch this stream today, for example, he said he normally sits around 200 CCV and has been for a while now. Phasmophobia, I saw you were in like the mid 30s for a little while there.
Yeah, 30s. Yeah.
So I'd be curious to know what your recommendation percentage was for that video, honestly.
So I believe my recommendation. So I know a lot of people are like worried about this, but I believe it's going to come back up. So this has happened before. This happened in December timeframe. It happened on December 15th, around there. I had the same exact conversation with my wife. I said, I came out of there and I was like, I had, barely anybody in there, like, I mean, the comparatively of what I used to do. So before December, I was sitting at before December 15th, I was sitting around a 90 CCV, right? And I was like, wow, this is awesome. But then I saw on this December 15th, a massive decline in my CCV again. And it was like that. And I remember going out there and being like, I don't know what did I say something wrong on Facebook? Did I do something wrong, for Facebook to not like me, whatever it is. And I came... and then 2 days later I streamed, and then it was like, boom, I popped off. I had massive CCV. I was getting recommended out the wazoo. I think I got featured. All this other stuff was happening. And so I was like, okay, so Facebook is definitely pushing me again. And it took a minute. But at the same time, what came out was that Facebook had updated their non-follower and follower viewership. So once you get over 40 people in your CCV, you can say, right now, I look at it, it says 28 followers are in here and 22 non-followers are in my stream right now. Okay. So Facebook updated that and they're like, okay, this is something new. So now everything it seems like it kind of resets, and Facebook is rebooting the system. I don't know. There's something weird. And then all of a sudden my CCV went from 90 CCV to sitting at 220. Now I say 220 because what Panda was saying right now is that he, about my stream.
I'm showing them where to find these insights too, as you're discussing it. I'm bringing up some of my stuff from my streams. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I would sit at 220, right? And I would have 40 followers in 100 and I can't do the math off the top of my head. What, 160? I don't know. I can't do the math off the top of my head. But I would have 40 followers in there, and then I would have the rest of the 220 would be non-followers. That's massive. That's 60%. That's that 60% recommendation rate. Now, what would happen was when those followers went up to 70 and 80 followers are in there, it would stay at 220. And it would start falling, and Facebook algorithm would gauge this and keep me at 220. And so they would drop my recommendation percentage down. And this would happen because I watch it all the time because I think it's super interesting. But I would watch it and the recommendations would rise, and then the followers would rise, and it would stay balanced at 220, which is super weird. The scary thing and the volatility of it all is that you're streaming and you're getting recommended by 60% and you lose that. I mean, boom, it's all gone, right? And we see it across the board with different partners. We see it with bigger streamers that have a lot of CCV, and they all of a sudden just drop off,
Right.
And it's something, just pay attention to it. It's really interesting and it's really volatile. And that's because Facebook is still relatively new, but they're balancing two things, right? They're balancing the social media aspect of it all, and then they're balancing this gaming platform. And the gaming platform blew up this year, right? Or last year, because of the, you know, everybody staying at home, the COVID, everything like that. It blew up, and everybody was watching a lot more streamers, and a lot more people started streaming. So this is kind of like a strange year, and Facebook was trying to balance out that algorithm even prior to this, but it didn't. They haven't figured it out yet. They don't know how to do it. Like when I streamed with Senpai, he was getting recommended, you know, probably a good like 40% or something like that, and I wasn't getting recommended at all. I think I had 1 or 2 non-followers in there. So they don't know how to do both of them at the same time, I guess you could say. But when I stream separately from Senpai, I usually do a lot better, but he's within my bubble, right? Everybody's inside of a bubble right now. And the streamers that you see popping up on your feed, the community that's interacting with them, they're all within that bubble that you have. And when they're streaming the same game as you, you're gonna be pushed out if they're bigger than you. Just how it is. Like and that showed on our Wednesday night collabs, right? Personally, I've thought about it before, you know, switching over my platforms and then doing collabs with you guys to kind of bring those people over, and vice versa, you know, because I think it's a really good opportunity. And I know a lot of Twitch streamers. I know no YouTube streamers, so that'd be something I'd have to reach out. But like, I think that's a really good option. If you're trying to grow your channel and quickly from outside of Facebook, reach out to those Twitch streamers, reach out to those YouTube streamers or any other platform that they're streaming on, and ask them to stream with you. I think that's your best option. Yeah.
It's funny because like 6 months ago, like I was in the position that you're in, where I'm trying to sit here and almost like Rain Man through like all the numbers and all this stuff to figure out like what the secret formula is for figuring out the algorithm. And yeah, like you said, there's just like, they're still relatively new. To add to what you're saying too, I don't know if many people know about this specifically, but apparently they've been running something called an audition program. Yes. Where as a new streamer for about 20, I think it's 28 days, and we discussed this before on our podcast, but for 28 days, you get pushed like super hard by Facebook, you know, in an attempt, I think, to keep you on the platform and grow you, and then to bring them in more people or whatever. If you're in that zone, that sweet zone right now, like do whatever you can to I guess garner what you can. Yeah. And bring in what you can. And like you said, you know, collaborate with people outside of Facebook at this point. Yes. Go across platforms. Because yeah, there's definitely it's like Facebook doesn't know, like it's one streamer to rule them all for a particular game. You know, and in the darkness bind them, sort of thing. But like, you get the point. You get the point that I'm bringing up here, right? Like,
okay, so Facebook is an entity that's meant to make money, right? It's a social media aspect, but it as every business, right? The main goal is to funnel people in and to make money, right? Well, the way that Facebook makes money is through stars and star donations, right? They make a fairly decent profit percentage-wise off of those, except for, you know, the Christmas specials and all that. But that was just an incentive to kind of be like, hey, sending stars feels good, you know? Like, I send stars and it feels good, you know? But yeah, definitely, that is one of the biggest things. So I think what me and Panda and, you know, Ginge Dad and some other streamers have talked about in the past is that, like, what are these things that Facebook is looking at? And I believe it's 100% reactions, and it's engagement in comments, and then it's stars. Okay, if you're getting, because everything else can pretty much be botted out, right? Reactions, comments, that can all be very body, and Facebook can catch on to that.
Yes, it can.
So stars are one of those things, though, that, you know, is very, very different. And I believe that Facebook does track that, and they see, okay, you know, this person's receiving this many stars. That means that we're receiving this amount of percentage, and it's sad, you know, it is the way it is. But I believe that stars play a big role in that. And I would be interested to see if by putting in your direct donation links and your whatever you use, does that maybe possibly could hurt you? Does Facebook look at that and be like, all right, this link is, you know, in your description? So I always suggest never putting any links in your description at all. Use them in pinned comments. Sure. Keep them away from there, because I think Facebook reads all that stuff. I really do. Like, why wouldn't they? Why would you post up and be like, hey, this is my Twitch? And then Facebook is like, why are you trying to send people over your Twitch? You know?
Well,
and they want people coming in.
Do you mind if I just interject to that? I've said this before too, again, on the podcast, and it sounds a little tinfoily, but like why you wouldn't think Facebook looks at that stuff when you can literally buy your phone, talk about like something that you need a product, and within seconds go search on Facebook and find an ad for that product. Like, they're watching what you say, like whether you want to believe it or not. Every post, everything, every description. To what you were saying, the links or whatever, something that I've done for the last like 6 or 7 months is just remove links or whatever. Sorry to interrupt or interject.
You're 100% correct. Yeah. And I think, it has to do with how many supporters you have too. I think how fast you're growing supporter wise, and stars that you're bringing in. There's just a lot to it that Facebook is looking at. But what is the number one thing? Like, if you guys go on the Facebook and you look at their guidelines, right? One of the first thing is garnishing engagement and how to do it, right? Even on the Level Up program group, they talk about that all the time. Garnishing engagement, do something different that makes people, ask you questions and engages with you. And they always go, if somebody asks you a question, don't answer it. Ask them a question back that makes them elaborate on the subject. That's what the kind of stuff that Facebook wants you to do. Why does Facebook want you to do that? Because they want engagement across the board. Yep. So when you're putting up thousands of comments and you're engaged with your community, I think you're going to get better. And I feel like you kind of see that with our stream in general. We're really engaging with our communities, and I think it's one of the most important aspects across the board, is to be engaging. And that's what Facebook is looking for those partners later on down the road too.
And I would agree with that. Like, when you're looking at all this stuff, and I know this last week, like let me real talk it here. And this is kind of why Bytes is taking the lead on this podcast, because I've been on this platform for 1.5 years. I've seen the nasty side of Facebook's algorithm being busted as shit, and I've seen the good side of Facebook's algorithm when it pushes me out, or when it did push me out when I was playing Borderlands 3. Mm-hmm. At this point, like, you can't, and it's tough because like the way that it seems Facebook is making it is that either you hit algo or you're a shitty streamer. And what you need to remind yourself of every day is you're not a shitty, well, I mean, listen, it's not for everybody. Like, let's be honest here. Streaming's not for everybody, but like if you've got a passion for it and you're dedicated to it, you believe in it, then what Facebook is doing here should try not to let it affect you. Again, I know it's hard, but focus on those engagements. Like Bytes said, focus on the people who are coming back into your chats every day. I know he's in the chat right now. Ruff is very good about making people feel really personal, like really welcome, special, and appreciated. As far as like when a new follower comes in, or when someone comes back, or people he's gained rapport with or built relationships with. So there's that. And then, set yourself some engagement goals. This is why this beard exists, number one. Number two, like, this is why we're doing engagement goals on all of our streams or whatever. So, just kind of personalize it for yourself, work it into your niche or whatever. Try not to focus so much on the viewer numbers as a way to measure, as a measuring stick for how good your content or how good you are as a content creator or a streamer is. And look at it more right now as Facebook's figuring their shit out, and hopefully they get it figured out soon.
Yeah, 100%. If you guys look at the statistics for the third quarter, it is absolutely mind-boggling how many freaking hours that they have actually gotten for streamers and views. It's insane, right? And the streaming world is going to change in the next few years, and we're already seeing it in the past when Twitch opened up and everything like that. I mean, we just had the Spanish streamer over on Twitch that had 2.3 million concurrent viewers at the same freaking time. That is absolutely insane. And let me tell you, these companies like Netflix and other ones are going to be looking at this and go, okay, more people are turning to streams because, for one, they're free to watch, but you can kind of connect with those streamers in a way that you can't with TV shows, with news outlets, with anything else, right? You can connect with these people on a whole new level. And so I imagine the people that are streaming now and they're making it, I wouldn't be surprised one day Netflix reaches out and say, hey, we want to open up a streaming platform directly to, and guess what? You go on Netflix, you go over to live streams, and there's your favorite streamer sitting there on your big TV, and you can send whatever Netflix bucks or whatever they call them, like over there.
Right.
I believe 100% we're gonna see this in the future coming up, because it's changing the landscape of how entertainment works. Because I mean, think about your favorite actor right now. When they go live on their Instagram platform or the Facebook platform, they have thousands of people in there, and they're so excited just to comment on that. This is what we're going to be seeing in the future, and I think COVID kind of changed that a lot more and made it a more viable option. So yeah, to your, I think it grew too fast though, and Facebook is trying to backtrack and figure out the algorithm. They're making changes it seems like almost monthly, right? I mean, they've rolled out every month,
weekly,
they've rolled out a new
or
change.
like bi-weekly even. Like it's crazy. And I agree with that. That's a great way to kind of crystallize it, is it grew too fast. You know, you ever feel like you like for you, for example, man, like I remember we've had DMs like when you had your big pop off and everything, you're like, what do I even like, what do I do here, what do I do? And it's just like, dude, roll with it, man. Like, but there's that feeling of growing too fast, and I think Facebook kind of, their legs are out, like they're ahead of the legs are ahead of the body, or the body's ahead of the legs, and they're trying to get their feet back underneath them or something. And they're doing all these tweaks and changes, and it's definitely screwing with things. But like, what this is kind of why we're doing what we're doing is, like, when we recognize these things, like, you know, Bytes comes to me in Discord and says like, yo, I think they changed something. For me, it's more of a feeling thing, and it always kind of has been. Like, just that's who I am personally. With Bytes, he's more into like the hard numbers aspect of it. So like, I'll go around on Twitter and look at all the anecdotal evidence, and he'll go gather up the actual like numbers evidence and be like, yeah, Panda, like, look at what's going on this week. Like, my recommendations are way down or whatever, in the hopes that we can kind of assuage some fears and anxieties about the platform. Like, we're all struggling right now. It's known information, you know? Yeah.
And we're not giving Facebook a leg to stand on for this, you know, like, because I mean, like some of the things that we've seen, you know, it's scary, right? And some people make a living through this, through the Facebook, you know, like through Facebook. It's a viable option, right? And you know, like people will go, oh, go get a real job. Well, this is a real job. If you've never seen a movie or a TV show, this is essentially what we're doing here. Right. But like, and it's scary because you might be doing really well one day, and you make Facebook partner, and then all of a sudden the algorithm just adjusts and changes, and then you have 60,000 people followers, right? And you're only getting a 2% push for notifications, and that's a huge scary thing, right? And your system, your CCV seems inflated because you're getting recommended here and there, but as soon as they pull that, you get to see the real true colors of that streamer. And I think it's really interesting, and it's really scary. So our idea with starting this is, I mean, it's still, you know, evolving. Like, you know, we were going to do like, what happens if trolls, if trolls come into your chat, what do you do, and stuff like that. But I think what we're really enjoying is talking about what's happening within that week, or some of the changes that we're seeing.
And it's funny, and see, this is where the anecdotal thing comes in on my side, because on Twitter, I won't name names of people I've seen on Twitter talking about announcements that they have to make on the 1st of February. But like, expect a whole new round of partners to be announced on the 1st of February. You know what I mean?
Like, what do you really get when you make partner? You get like kind of like these bragging rights, essentially. You get a certified bot in your chat. Do you get more recommendations if you're doing well? But there's a lot of partners out there that don't get recommended. So definitely, you know, is it really that much of a difference? I personally don't think so, from what I've seen. And then you get in-ad revenue streams.
Yes.
What is that? Yeah, in-ad revenue stream, which is like for every 1,000 views that your stream gets, you get like $1 or something like that. But if you're making like 50,000 to 100,000, then you're doing pretty good. You're adding an extra element of funding in there. But yeah, this is something that we're seeing across the board, and I think where you're at right now, just keep grinding, keep pushing forward. But I also believe that you kind of get archived. Your pages get archived, and I feel like Pandas was kind of on that forefront of like archived when I first like ran across him, you know, like, and he's still doing like good. He's doing it really good in his like, it's still probably on the top percentage of like, because I've seen, you know, a large percent of people don't get, you know, from 0 to 10 views, you know, and he was doing better than that. So he was already, you know, he's doing better, but he had been streaming for so long.
Right.
But now, you know, he's starting to pull in, you know, like 30, sometimes 50 CCV, depending on what game he's playing. His views are going up. His recommendations are moving up. And
slowly,
I think we kind of
yes, they are moving up.
We kind of pulled that out. And, you know, one of the people that I want to have on here when we figure all of this stuff out is Ginge Dad.
Yeah.
He's somebody who had 13,000 followers on his page, was streaming this game, Call of Duty Mobile and Warzone, other things like that. And then, you know, viewership started dropping, things started changing for him, and he wasn't like really moving forward, and his people weren't getting notified and all of this. And so he stopped his page and started a brand new one. Yep. And really thought about what he was doing and where he wanted to go with it, and has like a certified amazing game plan for it. And now he's averaging, you know, he's getting up there really fast. He's moving very quickly. He's doing better with his followers, and supporters should be unlocked very soon for him, and all of that. And so it's just it's moving along at a very good rate. And I think it's a really interesting story, and I think it'd be a lot of people would be interested in it that have been streaming for over a year, and they can go, wait a minute, that's me. That's where I'm at right now, you know, because it just doesn't make sense, you know, like if you have 12,000, like I have 12,000, almost 13,000 followers right now, right? And I'm only getting 20% notifications out to those people, and only a smaller percentage actually click on it, right? So it's interesting, you know, how it all works. So I don't know. I think where he's going with it is super good information, and we're going to see a lot of good information coming out of it with it too.
You talk about like The Last of Us Part 2 getting some massive like push on this platform or whatever.
Yeah, talk about that.
We're talking about a game that's like 10, 11 months old now at this point. I know it just won Game of the Year, so I know there's like that additional like bump in hype for it. But it also won Game of the Year over a month ago, you know what I mean? So like, for whatever reason, this game seems to be getting a lot of traction on Facebook. The other thing that I'm seeing a lot of on Twitch that I've now seen some more people doing over on Facebook is Rust. There's like a big push for Rust over on Twitch right now. And a lot of Facebook streamers are starting to piggyback on that a little bit. Rust is a really awesome game anyway, so those numbers are really awesome, and getting pushes like that are great for your follower numbers, but like how many of those people are really gonna come back and watch you or stay around? I mean, sure, if you can get like 10% of that 3,000 to stick around, what is that, 300 or whatever, that would be all that's but like it's not even that good, I would say. Like, I mean, when you're not getting pushed, your CCV is anywhere from 150 to 200, so that's less than 10%. So I don't know. Exactly. I would just prefer the organics, like more organic feeling, I suppose. I don't know. That's how I feel about it.
Obviously, organic is great. I do think it's important for the recommendations across the board, though. And with that, so if you guys don't know, I streamed. So when I first started streaming Among Us, right, I had a fairly strong community, a beautiful, wonderful, my favorite community of all. And they followed me into Among Us. They were interested in it. They were already playing it. And I got every time I went live with Among Us, I got featured on Mondays. Every time I went live on Mondays with Among Us, I got featured. And I would sit up at a 1.3 thousand CCV for 45 minutes, right? They were putting me up there, and I was getting, 1.3. And then as soon as 45 minutes went by, because I watched it on so many other streamers, I watched it. And then it would just drop off. Boom, drop off, and then it would stick around 200, and then it would just drop and drop and drop and drop, right? Until it was back to your just regular followers, right? And sometimes some people would stick around, and it would stay at about 100 CCV when I was only getting like 50 normally. But it's crazy. And then ATS did the same thing, right? When I switched over to ATS and I started playing that for the first time. So I believe that Facebook, like once you get that core following from that game, whatever it is, like I think Panda's numbers are really good with Cyberpunk.
Like the last time I played it, I had to stop playing it like 3 hours in and just be like, all right, we're gonna finish this here. Final Fantasy 6 later tonight. Like, I just can't push myself to play this anymore. You know what I
know.
mean?
And you know, yeah, and it makes and that's the pro. I don't think Facebook is gauging that like streamers are going to burn out on those games. You know, like there's a lot of Warzone players and they play all the time.
I feel bad for them.
They don't love the game anymore, but they cannot switch. They cannot switch.
Exactly. I feel bad. They're stuck in that.
Yeah, they try to, but they can't. Yeah, it's terrible. So I think that's something else that we'll see changing. But yeah, I got featured on American Truck Simulator, and I had 3.3 CCV, and then as soon as that 45 minutes went up, it went all the way back down to like 80, I think it was 80 CCV, which isn't bad at all. But it just goes to show you the volatility of it all, switching games. But I believe that Facebook, like when you switch over to a game, you have a strong community, and Facebook likes you, right? The algorithm is in your favor. It's going to go, okay, hey, ATS is a brand new game for Bytes. Well, let's go ahead and get him some followers in there really quickly because he does good with other games. So let's go ahead and push him out. And then they push me out and they gauge it and they go, okay, awesome. And I got featured twice on ATS, right? But now when I play ATS, I don't get featured anymore because Facebook's like, that's not his genre of games. He's not getting the reactions, likes, and all of the other above from that game. So we're not going to push him out anymore for that. And I truly believe that. But Among Us, right, I get a lot of new followers. I get a lot of reactions. I pass 500 plus reactions on Among Us. I get 2,000 comments. I get all of this other stuff. And I think Facebook really recognizes that. And they go, okay. But I haven't played Among Us since Thursday when my CCV dropped off to 30 and 40s. So I'm interested to see how it'll do, honestly.
Connor said something about how it seems like Facebook favors people who stream a lot, and I would say, back when I started, I think this was before when you jumped on this platform. I would have said yes to that, Connor, 100%. If this was a year ago and the tiering system still existed, bronze, silver, and gold, and each one of those tiering systems gave your viewers an opportunity to earn more free stars. So if you were a streamer that streamed 35 hours or more. Yeah, I don't know what they did to it. It just disappeared one day, like a year ago.
Oh, man.
I don't know if they've baked it in, like, to where if you stream more, like, that's just naturally baked into your algorithm or whatever. But again, these are the things that we don't know. They just took it away from us. But I would say yes to that if this was a year ago. Now, I would say, well, then why am I not getting, 100 concurrent viewers streaming 40 hours a week? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's not like this is the only thing I do. Let me be clear here. Like, I run a family business when I'm not streaming, and just even with COVID and everything going on, it's still a 24/7 business, and I got to help my brother and my dad manage on a daily basis. So I do that, and I stream 40 hours a week, plus make offline content and everything. So, like, I mean, the obvious retort to that would be, then why am I not getting pushed out? So, yes and no. They definitely want people to stream more than 20 hours a week on this platform. Probably where is it? It's the best practices in the creator dashboard. Yes. Look for those numbers, the engaged followers, the amount of notifications that your people have going out. The more those go up, the better you're doing, despite how much time you could stream for 10 hours a week, man. As long as those engagement numbers are going up for you, I think that's what Facebook truly cares about at the end of the day, is those engagements. That all comes back to the engagements.
It all comes back to the engagements, and that's where the key is at. It's not about how many CCV you get on your page or any of that stuff. It's how it's almost okay. So it's almost more like I've heard Ruff say it before. I've heard Ruff say, I feel like when I'm talking, I get better and higher CCV.
Same.
And that's because you are communicating and they are communicating back, and Facebook is recommending you. Mm-hmm. This is where it's at. This is where it's at. It's engagement. So take that. That's why I say take that time at the very beginning of your stream to talk. There's a reason that Sachi does it. There's a reason that Stone Mountain does it. There's a reason that all of them do it. Check out all your favorite partners. There's very few of them that actually just start right into the game. Most of them sit there and they talk with chat for a good 30 minutes beforehand because they're getting that engagement up. They're getting everything running. Facebook is watching that. They're working the algorithm. they're asking for followers, they're getting new supporters, and they're moving forward. And then they start the game and they let their gameplay kind of take it. And some of them stop in the middle and they start talking to chat again and hang out for a little bit. And I think it's really good.
What I would like to see then from Facebook is more interaction stuff for viewers, like Twitch does. Like I mean, I know it's the big purple monster on here on Facebook, and we can't like say Twitch or whatever. Yeah. But like, you know,
never make a partner.
You know, I'm never gonna make partner ever. 10,000 followers? Nope, never.
No, you said the T word.
I did. I did say the T word. Yeah. I'm shadow banned for life on Facebook now. But anyway. All joking aside, what I think Facebook needs to do is they need to start employing communication methods like they do with Twitch, with cons, with AMAs. You know, look at gaming companies, even like Blizzard. When Shadowlands came out, there's big AMA with Ian Hazakostas, the game developer. I've talked about this before on streams and podcasts too. And right now, I don't know what it is. If it's just Facebook trying to get their legs underneath them, but it seems like it doesn't seem like it's part of their DNA right now. Now, that's not to mean that, you know, they're not trying to make these improvements or whatever, but I would really like to see those sort of engagement tools here on Facebook, because you're right with Rough, and this is why I do this too now. Like some of the changes that I've made this week, you know, completely different transition screen with you know, the panda logo and the little like door opening thing, and taking out my montage completely. I like cold opens, I think are very beneficial. You know, when you just pop in there and you start talking your stream right away. And to your point, like in Rough and Stone Mountain and Sachi and all these other big streamers, same thing happens for me. My concurrent viewers are the highest at the beginning of my stream when I'm talking. As soon as I hit that button to go into the actual game itself, it drops off.
I think what you've been doing, I think I've seen a difference in change and everything like that, and I really like that. I think if you do have a short, small video at the very beginning, it's not going to hurt you too much. But you know, like what we talked about last week is like, who do you want that video to be seen to? You want new followers to see those videos, right? Right. So putting them in the middle of your stream or when you switch over to the actual game, I think is the best opportunity. Cold starts, I think, are 100% the best way to start, unless you already have this like pretty strong following, and then you can sit there and let a stream starting and have some music playing in the background. You're not worried about a DCMA or something like that. Like I think a cold start is the best way, because I mean, every single stream, the first way I start out is just by talking to everybody, and I talk for 10 to 15 minutes, and then we go into the game and we figure it out. And usually like that's when my CCV is the best. Then as soon as I switch over to the game, I'll notice the views kind of go down just a little bit, and then depending on what happens, they'll start popping off here and there. But I really believe that it's all about engagement. So if you're one of those streamers that's streaming Warzone, everything like that, I would concentrate, honestly, I would pause in a corner and concentrate on chat more than the actual gameplay, okay? It's just, if you want that kind of, I would move over to Twitch or something like that if you want that, because I think Facebook is all about building a community. I don't know how many times community is said in their guidelines, but it's a lot, right?
It is a lot.
Community is the key here, right? And that's not only just creating a community on, you know, Facebook and groups and stuff like that, but it's utilizing Discord and other ones to kind of create this whole community. Like, I have a massive community, you know, like I have a lot of people that, you know, like each other outside of the streaming and gaming world, and it's all about that. It really is. It's not, and I streamed on, Facebook. I streamed on YouTube, right? Like just for fun, just for research purposes to see like what would happen. I streamed for 1 hour with 0 people in there except for myself watching, and I just talked away on a game, but not a single person came in there. And I was like, man, how does a stream grow on Facebook or on YouTube, right? Like, and it's all from outside sources, okay? So, but as soon as I reached out to my community, I said, all right, you know, it's been an hour. Hey guys, I'm playing on the YouTube right now. I'm just trying it out, seeing what it looks like and everything like that. My community came like running in, and we had a lot of fun, and a lot of jokes came out of it, you know? And I think that's like the whole key, is building that strong community. And that's where like I took off with Animal Crossing, right? Animal Crossing is this absolutely gorgeous community of people that like legitimately care about things more than, you know, games. You know, it's just like I don't know, they're really like interactive and everything like that, and that kind of boosted me up and allowed me to move over to other games and stuff like that. So I think the reason I stream personally is the community and the engagement with other people. The games be damned, honestly. Like it's all about the community. It's all about the people in that community. And if you're not making a connection every single stream, you're not doing it right. Over time, those people will come back and they will say hi to you, and they will be a CCV for you that helps get it pushed out even more. But it's all about the community in Facebook world.
Like when I first got into this, it was, you know, how can I build a community with a bunch of other, you know, streamers and gamers who enjoy just gaming to get away from the real world shit that's out there? And then how can I, you know, the streamers that I am a part of, how can I help boost them up a little bit? How can I, let me go talk to my people about following them, or you know, people that I believe in, or I believe that are actually invested in this whole streaming thing. Cause yeah, I mean, there are people out there who do this as a hobby, and there are people out there who do this full time. There's no problem with either one of those, but like for me right now, like I want to find the people that take this seriously. You know what I mean? And I think finding those streamers, not just on Facebook, but on Twitch, on YouTube, like we mentioned at the top of this, you know, you start to build those communities. You start to do collaborations maybe with them over on their platform, or a podcast like we're doing between two platforms. Yeah, I mean, you then it's when you really start doing the whole engagement thing that we're talking about. And I know I'm just rambling on. Again, this is why you took point on this.
I think you make sense, and I think that's like a really good thing for the future of this even podcast, is to reach out to YouTube and be like, hey, we do a podcast on here. Once we get it down a little bit more professional and everything like that, we get them in here and we talk about them and how their journey started, what happened in it, what kind of things those other platforms are looking for,
right? So
we can compare it to Facebook, because I believe Facebook is the #1 best place to grow, and I think it is, and it's scary because it's not scary. Okay, it is scary when you start getting up there and you're like, okay, I can make this into a living, and then you're like, you know, like, who knows if you can or not. But I think the cool thing is that there's people that have never watched a stream before that now watch me all the time. They've never watched a single stream, and I was their first streamer that they've ever seen live. And they say, I never watch streamers. You're the first one I like, or something like that. And you don't know how much that means, you know, because not only did you say that and you enjoy my content, but you're also somebody that has never watched a streamer before, and you just came in. So that tells me, okay, so the Facebook recommendations is working, right?
I ask like all the time too. New people, how'd you find me? Oh, recommended. I'm like, oh my God, it's working today. Good.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where it's at. And it's so nice when like, I mean, if you see somebody and it pops in and be like, oh, I came from so-and-so stream, or someone recommended you, or Facebook recommended you, tell them that. It's a really cool thing for a streamer to know where everybody's coming from. It's business 101, finding out where you know, customers are coming from.
Right.
So definitely letting your streamers know where you found them and stuff like that is really cool. But yeah, like it's really interesting. But yeah, like I saw, you know, a lot of the YouTube stuff is all self-promotion coming over. It's really hard, but once it sticks on those platforms.
It really does.
And that's something to be aware of. I mean, you look at Stone Mountain and Toast, right? They sit at, you know, 15 to 20,000 CCV, sometimes higher than that, depending on like what's going on, everything like that. But then you look over on YouTube or you look on Twitch, and there's 2.3 million people watching somebody and 110,000 people watching the other person that Toast is playing with. And you're like, wait a minute, there's something weird here. And that has a lot to do with the platform in general. But this platform has so much capability. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, will they use that capability? Will they continue? I mean, we'll see in the future, but I think it is a very viable option for people that are starting out, and then they can move over to something else like Twitch if they wanted to, because you build that community, you hold strong with them, and then you say, hey, these are the reasons I want to move over here, or you could tell them right off the bat, and they might follow you over there.
Right.
Some of them won't, but you know, the nice thing about, you know, those other platforms is that when they hit those go live buttons, the people, you know, 70-80% of the people get the notifications. You know, in this platform right now, I sit at 20,000, which is 2,576 people followers that get the notification when I go live out of 12,000. So there's 10,000 people that have no idea that I went live just now.
Right.
You know, like
I'm like,
it's just it's
like that. Yeah. 20. What is yours? Like 20. What is yours?
20.4%.
Mine is high apparently at 24%. Mine's like 1,700 of my 7,000 or something followers get notified.
That's awesome.
Still 5,300 that don't, but yeah.
But count on Twitch, you got like 80% of the people that are getting.
Insane.
I get notified of people that I subscribed to like 2 years ago, and I just am too lazy to go unsubscribe, and I'm still getting notifications from them, and I'm like, golly, man, like this is crazy.
Right, and the same thing. I mean, I've heard of issues on YouTube as well with this like unsubbing on notification thing, but it seems like YouTube is very good about like if you sub to someone and hit that bell on on the right hand side of the sub button and get all notifications. I've never like any YouTuber that I've subscribed to that I watch videos on, Harris Heller or Bellular or Preach or all these other people who do gaming news and stuff. I get notifications for their videos all the time, 100% of the time.
So one of the ways that you can combat that is go live, right? Have a story on Instagram that says I'm live. Put in the little tab where you can put in some funny music in there, and then add in some like, I don't know, Among Us characters doing weird stuff or whatever game you're going to be playing, Animal Crossing characters dancing, whatever it is. Put it on there. Wait till you go live. Post it up, right? Okay, you're going to engage the people that follow the stories a lot more. And that usually helps. And they come over there, and as soon as they see that live, because you want as many people in there right at the beginning of your stream, because that's what's gonna start off the recommendations by Facebook. So I suggest doing that, and then go to your group. Right, most people have a follower-only group on there. I think it's one of the things that Facebook recommends when you start your page. It says, "Do you want to start a group? Do you want to link that group to this page?" And you say yes, right? Instead of posting in there and saying, or sharing your stream into that, go into that group and just type out or do a little meme and type out, "Hey, I'm live right now playing this game." So those are just some little tips that can help you reach that community a little bit more, which when I was doing that, I was at a 24% rate. And now I'm down to a 20.4%. So I think it was working pretty well. So I would suggest doing that.
But and that's part of the responsibility falls on you as streamers and we as streamers to go live at a consistent time every day. So that way, and then communicate it. Like Bytes has suggested on, past podcasts, go put that message in your group page or your supporter page. "Hey, I'm live on this right now. Here's the link." Instead of just sharing it to the group, go write something out and then share the link to the video or whatever. Yeah. I mean, there's multiple methods of communicating with your people. Discord, Twitter, your group pages, going live consistently at the same time every day. Like people are going to start to pick up on that. Oh, Panda's live at 11 o'clock in the morning every day and around 6 o'clock at night every night. You know what I mean? So all right, guys.
Well, I'll see you later, Panda. I'll see you next Saturday. Well, I'll see you probably throughout the week, but next Saturday, our podcast on Saturday. So
awesome. All right.
And it'll be the same time, 1 o'clock Eastern and 12 Central.
12 p.m. Central, 10 a.m. Pacific, everybody. All right.